Let's take a look at an example over here. So for this question, there are no common factors for the denominator. The common denominator in this case will be 2b multiplied by b plus c. So what we'll do now is we'll multiply by b plus c to the first fraction. Okay, so it will be 1 times b plus c over 2b multiplied by b plus c. Okay, and for the second term, we'll multiply by 2b. Okay, so it will be 3 bracket 2b over 2b bracket b plus c. Okay, so in order to add or subtract fractions, right, we need to follow the CES, okay, as discussed in the previous video. Yeah, so C means combine the numerators, E means expand the numerators, and S means simplify. Okay, so we'll apply this, right? So combine, so you just write B plus C, okay, plus you follow with the plus, and 3 bracket 2b, okay, and then the common denominator will be 2b bracket b plus c. Okay, the next step will be to expand. Okay, so it will be b plus c, okay, plus 6b. Okay, and the common denominator is still 2b bracket b plus c. And finally, we simplify. So b plus 6b, we get 7b. And this will give us the final answer. Right? Okay, so this is how we add or subtract algebraic fractions. Let's take a look at another example now. Okay, so in this question, right, as discussed in the previous video, we have n minus 2 square here. Okay, and when we see a square, it doesn't mean that we will just square our values here. This is not the correct way of doing it. So what we should be doing now is we should actually rewrite n minus 2 square as n minus 2 multiplied by n minus 2. And once we have written this out, we'll realize that the common denominator is n minus 2 times n minus 2. What is missing from the first term will be an n minus 2 term. We need to multiply by n minus 2 over n minus 2. Okay, again, we follow the CES. So C means combine, E means expand, S means simplify. Okay, we'll combine the terms first, or combine the numerator first. So 2 times n minus 2 minus, we follow with the minus, and 3. Okay, the whole thing over n minus 2 bracket n minus 2. Okay, and now we expand. So 2n minus 4 minus 3 over n minus 2 bracket n minus 2. Okay, and finally we will simplify. So 2n minus 4 minus 3 will give us minus 7. So the answer will be 2n minus 7 over n minus 2. And because it's a duplicate of n minus 2, you can rewrite it as n minus 2 squared. And this will be our answer. Right? Okay, let's take a look at the third example. Okay. In this situation, right, we realize that the denominators are factorizable. Okay, so we can actually factorize the first denominator using multiplication frame, and we can actually factorize the second denominator using your difference of squares. Okay, so let's do that now. So when we factorize the first denominator, you will get x plus 3, x minus 2. Okay, and when we factorize the second denominator, we will get x plus 3, x minus 3. Right? Okay, so if we actually compare, right, now there's x plus 3, x minus 2, and x minus 3. So the common denominator in this case will be x plus 3, x minus 2, x minus 3. Because x plus 3 is a common factor, we don't need to multiply x plus 3 by 2 times, right? So what is missing from the first fraction will be x minus 3. We'll multiply the first fraction by x minus 3 over x minus 3. Okay, so similarly for the second fraction, okay, what is missing there will be x minus 2. So we'll multiply by x minus 2 over x minus 2 for the second fraction. Right, and because we are subtracting the whole numerator, it's important that we put a pair of brackets here to avoid errors in the sign. Okay, now the next step, CES. So we combine the numerator first, expand the numerator, and then simplify the numerator. Okay, so now we will combine them. Okay, minus, we follow the minus, and then with the bracket x minus 2. Okay, so the first numerator minus the second numerator, it will be presented here. Okay, and finally we'll expand it. Okay, take note of the multiplication signs. So 4 times x, you get 4x. Okay, 4 times negative 3 minus 12. Negative 1 times x, negative 1 times negative 2, positive 2. Okay, the whole thing over x plus 3, x minus 2, and x minus 3. Okay, and finally we'll simplify. So 4x minus x, we get 3x. And negative 12 plus 2 will get negative 10. Okay, and then this will be your final answer. Right. Okay, so just a recall of our steps again. So first we need to find the common denominator, and once we have actually made the common denominators for both fractions, the next step will be to use CES. Okay, combine, expand, and simplify your numerators, and you'll be able to add or subtract your fractions. Okay, let's take a look at one last example. Okay, so for this question, again, we'll realize that the denominators, we can actually factorize it using common factors. We'll do that now. Okay, and then we'll realize that 3n minus 2 and 2 minus 3n, they look very similar. Okay, but they are not exactly the same. What we can do now is we can introduce a negative sign to here. So plus will become minus, or if the question is in minus, then minus will become plus. All right, so we can actually change the sign over here, and we can actually change 2 minus 3n to become 3n minus 2. Okay, and right now the common denominator will be 6 multiplied by 3n minus 2. Okay, it will be much easier rather than multiplying by 2 minus 3n to the first term and 3 minus 2n to the second term. Now that we've actually convert the term over, and then it will be much easier to simplify this expression. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to multiply by 2 to the first fraction. We need to multiply by 3 to the second fraction. Okay, then again follow the CES. Okay, so we combine the numerator, expand the numerator, then followed by simplify the numerator. So we combine them first. All right, and then now we will expand it. And finally, we'll simplify it. Okay, so for m minus 3m, we get m. Minus 10 minus 9, we get minus 19. right? And this will be our final answer.